What happens when democracy's guardians realize they have been betrayed? What happens when the very people fighting for transparency discover a system designed to hide the truth? In September 2017, the battle for India's democratic soul was about to begin. Welcome to the part 3 of the Electoral Bonds series. If you thought that the previous videos were shocking for you, you would not have imagined what is yet to come. Today, we are diving into the legal battlefield where heroes emerged, governments lied, and the future of Indian democracy hung in the balance. While most of the India was going about their daily lives, a group of democracy warriors were preparing for a legal fight that would be meticulously engraved in the history of politics. Meet the Association for Democratic Reforms, ADR. For over 2 decades, these guys had been the watchdogs of Indian elections. They are the reason you know about politicians' criminal records today. They forced the Supreme Court to make candidates' disclosures mandatory before elections while filing their affidavits. But on this very day, they observed something very ridiculous. Government had just lied to a wholesome extent. The government had just legalized something what they called as the biggest electoral corruption. So like any other defender of democracy, they just went straight to the Supreme Court and filed a petition against the government. Therefore, with this step, ADR legally challenged the electoral bond scheme before the government could officially launch it. ADR's petition was like a war cry. The previous amendments, which we spoke about in the previous 2 videos, had opened floodgates to unlimited corporate donations and anonymous financing by Indian as well as foreign companies. If you have not seen those 2 previous videos, I request you to click the I button above and check out those 2 videos. Now coming back to the topic, ADR did not just expose this electoral bond scheme which was yet to come, but they also showed how the government cheated in every and each step. The government had just passed those massive amendments as money bills to completely bypass the Rajya Sabha. Therefore, ADR called it a constitutional fraud. New Year celebrations were barely over when the government dropped their next bombshell. The electoral bond scheme was officially launched. Bonds worth from ₹1,000 ranging to ₹1 crore. Only at State Bank of India, selected branches. But here's where it gets creepy. You needed KYC details to buy them, but those details won't be ever disclosed to any citizen. Just think about the bizarre scenario. The State Bank of India will know who bought the bonds. The political party will also know who bought the bonds because those individuals will hand them physically to the political parties respectively. But who will be in dark? We, the voters, the citizens, whose democracy this is supposed to be. Available for just 10 days in January, April, July and October. Why these specific dates? Was there any democratic principle or was there any scientific reason? Nope. Maybe pure convenience for the ruling party. Who knows after all? And also remember this, bonds expired in 15 days. If parties didn't cash them in time, the money went to, wait for it, the Prime Minister's Relief Fund. Wow, what a noble move. Even the expiry was designed to help the government. Isn't it good? Let's figure it out later. Just 17 days after the scheme launched, something unprecedented happened. The Communist Party of India Marxist, CPIM, did something no other political party had the courage to do. They challenged electoral bond scheme which could have been their own potential funding source. Every other single political party were either silent or were completely happy because they had now legal protection to receive huge amounts of foreign, anonymous and corporate donations without any hesitation. So when every other political party was only focusing on how to cash in maximum amount of donations through anonymous or foreign sources, CPIM was only the one to approach the Supreme Court under their own political name and challenge the electoral bond scheme. And they specifically noticed that it was violating Article 19(1)(a). In 2018, seriously, who else would have thought that a communist party would be the biggest defender of transparent capitalism in politics in India itself? Around this time, the 2019 Lok Sabha elections were around the corner, and the government had announced electoral bonds would be available for sale for massive periods in March, April and May 2019. We are talking about 50 days in total. So ADR and Common Cause ran back to the Supreme Court, but this time it was an emergency. They filed an application for an immediate stay. And then the data came out that proved everything they had feared. According to the research by Factly.com and RTI responses from SBI, 97% of all the bonds purchased were in the denominations of rupees 10 lakh and rupees 1 crore. 97%! Common citizens were not even buying rupees 1000 bonds. This was not transparency in political funding in any way. This was just a corporate capture of democracy. But wait, it gets worse. December 18th, 2018, the government was caught in a blatant lie to the parliament itself. A Rajya Sabha member asked whether the Election Commission had raised concerns about electoral bonds. The Minister of State for Finance, Shri P. Radhakrishnan, stood up and said, and I quote, the government has not received any type of concerns from Election Commission on the issue of electoral bearer bonds. But wait for it, here's the catch. The Election Commission had sent a detailed letter on May 26, 2017, more than a year earlier, expressing serious concerns. The EC had called it a retrograde step that would compromise transparency. But the story is far from over. It has just started from here. Wait for it for the part 4, which will drop next week, so that you can know the complete details of all the Supreme Court's hearings, the government's ridiculous defense, and how all the opposition of government tore them apart in every details. So to get notified for all these videos, you just have to smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and also comment down your thoughts so that I would know what is your viewpoint in this type of topics.